Welcome to the Six Figure Influencer podcast. I am so happy you are here. Today, I am diving into a topic that I talk about often, that I allude to often, and a question that I get asked a lot, especially lately. And that is the question of, one, how much money have I spent personally in coaching over the course of my career? And also the value of coaching. Like, do you actually need a coach to be successful? And how to hire a coach and what to look for and why to hire somebody now versus later, or, should you wait, right? Like I get approached and asked that often. And I know the reason why is because I am somebody who's very open about the amount that I've invested in personal development and particularly other coaches. I talk about it a lot. And I am also a mentor and a coach. So it makes sense that people would come and that people would ask me that. And I thought it'd be a really good time to talk about it now because this year, well, actually in December, at the very end of December, I kid you not, it was December 31st at 6 p.m., I decided to sign up for the biggest coaching investment that I've ever signed up for, a year-long, I decided to sign up for a year-long mastermind with who I consider my dream coach, somebody who I've been following really closely, not for too long, really since last July. Actually, probably May or June. But really close. And I've already invested in, I've signed up for different programs with her, but somebody who I admire and respect so much and who's created this insane empire, right? And that person is Melanie and Lair, the founder and owner of Alpha Femme. So yeah, that was a really big move. So I'll share with you what that looks like. I'll share with you what I've invested thus far. This is definitely for the business owner who maybe you have invested in a couple of coaches and you're looking, you kind of get the feeling that you're looking for a little bit more support, but maybe you've been burned in the past or didn't get the results that you were hoping for. So you're kind of nervous to invest, or maybe you've never invested in a mentor before and you kind of want to, but you're not sure. Or maybe you're just super against it. You don't believe in it and you just want to hear my arguments for it. So I'm just going to, per usual, be super transparent about my experience and how I feel about it personally. And it might surprise you because even though I am, again, I guess a mentor and a coach myself, I'm not going to sit here and be like, you have to have a coach to be successful. I don't believe that at all. So we'll talk about it. But the way that I kind of think about hiring a mentor for yourself is like buying a seat at the table, right? It's like you walk into a very crowded room where there's a ton of different business owners in different industries and different levels of success and experience. And there are some tables with some are industry giants, some are just, very respected and successful in their niche or their industry, and they have their tables and there's a certain amount of seats around their table. And it's like, okay, if you walk into this room and you want to be successful, where do you sit? And you can go sit by yourself. That's absolutely fine. And I've had many seasons where I sit by myself because that's what I need in the moment. And it's a season of implementation and it's a season of reflection. And I choose to sit alone, or I choose to sit with other business owners who are in similar boats as myself. And then there are other seasons where you're ready to switch tables. You're ready for, whatever reason, to learn, to grow. And while you can sit alone at your own table and figure it out yourself, you're absolutely welcome to do so. And it's not impossible. Many people do it. You do have an opportunity to go buy a seat at another table, at a table with somebody who has been there, done that, and has a lot of wisdom and information to impart. So that's kind of the way that I think about it is, when you're investing in a mentor, you're buying a seat at the table that you want to sit at. And it's not just going to be you and that person. Oftentimes you're sitting at the table with other people who energetically and business wise or at least mentally are where you are in the same, desire to be on the same course and trajectory, right? You found other people who are eye to eye with you, and you may not be the same level of success or experience, but they're also at that table, and there's like a camaraderie that comes with that. Like, oh, cool. I wanted to be here too. Good for you. Welcome. Now, I guess one of the questions that a lot of people have is, which comes first, right? Like coaching or success, chicken or the egg, which comes first? And, you can kind of think of this like choosing to delegate and hire in your business. Like, which do you delegate and hire early and then allow your business to grow bigger? Or do you and succeed? Or do you wait for a certain level of success and then hire? And many, many, many people have different opinions on this. And many people have done it both ways and every which way in between. So I want to kick this off by saying that there's no wrong answer, period. It comes down to what you value. And some people value money more than they value time, and vice versa. And every single time that I have hired somebody or outsourced something from Sarah, my full-time employee, to the women that help clean my house every week, it's to buy me time. I value my time more than I value my money because I can make my money back. And if you don't feel that way, that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. So to me, if you were to ask me what comes first, the coaching or the success, it depends on the person. But in my experience, I truly believe in my experience, this is just me, I believe I hit the levels of success that I have faster than I could have if I had done it alone. So I believe like with the mentors that I've hired, with the support that I've hired over the years, I believe that bought me time. It got me there faster. In some cases, I will say that I have hired mentors over the past 4 years that I've been in business that had great strategies and great values and mindsets. But I personally, I didn't know what I didn't know. So once I hired them, I then realized that wasn't exactly the strategy that I was looking for. It wasn't exactly the mindset that I actually was aligned to. But you don't know that, sometimes I think now that I'm more seasoned and I have more experience and I know myself better as an entrepreneur and as a business owner, I now know the type of coaches that I'm aligned to, that's a good fit for me, at least for now. And that could change. But before, you don't like, there's so many mentors out there that teach very similar things, right? Like business coaches are a dime a dozen, mindset coaches are a dime a dozen, law of attraction, manifestation coaches, like you name it, there's hundreds, thousands of people that teach at least the same subject. They may not have the same methodology or strategy. So my point is, I've hired coaches before that probably did slow me down a little bit. And it wasn't their fault. Like they did what I signed up for. They did what I hired them for. But for me, it was the wrong path. It was the wrong strategy. And I think I know that I needed to go through that to learn what I did want, right? Like nothing shows you what you want more than contrast than what you don't want. Okay. So in my opinion, I do think, with the exception of a couple of people that I've hired, that it's allowed me to collapse time and an increase. And I would say, especially in the past year, the women that I've worked with and the tables that I've pulled my chair up to have been so aligned and have been such a match to who I am and what I value, that it's really allowed me to fly. So I guess my first piece of advice, if you are somebody who is looking to hire somebody, then I would get clear on what kind of strategy do you desire? And what I mean by that is, some people, I'm trying to think of a way that I can summarize this and word this that would be accurate. I guess some people desire more of like a step-by-step, robust, masculine might be a good word, approach to their business. Like, tell me exactly what to do, what to say, in what order, when, where, how. And that's where I was in the beginning of my business. That's where I was, because that's what I needed, And then I would say that there are other people that they get the strategy. They kind of know, and they might have questions along the way, and they might be open to new and improved strategies, but they're more so looking for an energetic calibration. They're more so looking for the other pieces of the puzzle that aren't necessarily step-by-step strategy, right? Like, how do you think about this certain thing? What do you do outside of your business? How do you handle this type of situation? It's like, hopefully you get what I'm saying. So I would get clear on, okay, when it comes to taking my business next level, am I looking for that step-by-step strategy, or am I looking to simply calibrate, or mostly calibrate, to somebody who is where I am? And that doesn't mean you wouldn't get strategy, but I think it's helpful to know that. And then I also think that it's super helpful to be aligned mindset-wise, value-wise. I think like the easiest way to sum this up would be, find you a mentor that is living the life that you aspire to live, or has the business that you aspire to have. But I think it's important to know the life piece too. That doesn't mean it has to be, an exact match, but if you're a mom and you're looking to to buy yourself some freedom in your schedule and you also want to have a successful business, it might be helpful to also hire a mom. Not in every case. That's not to say that other coaches who aren't moms can't support you completely. I'm not saying that at all. But if you find another mom who is killing it in their business and you can see from their stories and how they show up, and you can just kind of get a feel for somebody that they're not running themselves ragged. They take trips, they spend time with their family. They're not constantly online and constantly grinding, like if that's what you value. So I think that's super helpful just to kind of get a gauge. Okay, I'm looking for this level of strategy and this type of person, and then start there. I think that that's super, super, super helpful when the time is right. Okay. So there are people out there who do believe that in order to be successful, like it especially, it's kind of this weird thing in like the coaching mentorship industry, where it's like, if you want to attract clients, if you want people to hire you, then you need to hire somebody else, right? Like you need to do it first if you want other people to do it with you. And not everybody believes that. And I kind of feel like that's a little more outdated now. I think it was more prevalent maybe a couple of years ago. And it was kind of this narrative that was going around. And the reason why people say that is, I mean, I'm sure some people say it in a manipulative way for sure. But I think like the heart behind that, I think, people say that with good intention. And it all comes down to what you believe. Right? If you truly believe that you get what you give, then if you hire somebody, then yeah, you're going to believe that other people are going to hire you, and you don't have to believe like that specific thing, but hopefully you get what I'm saying. So it was kind of like this prevalent, belief or this thing that was going around. Anyway, here are my thoughts on it. Do you have to hire somebody to be successful? No. Absolutely not. Everybody is so different and everybody has different levels of experience and ability to figure things out themselves, want to figure things out themselves. So for me personally, I don't always have a coach. I have coaches in different seasons. I started my business without a coach. At the end of my first year in business, I ended up hiring one because I was totally spinning my wheels and in analysis paralysis and just completely stressed out. I was so green. I was so new. I was just like a bag floating in the wind. I mean, being pulled in so many different directions. I had no clue what I was doing. So that's why I hired my first coach. And after that, I took a little break, mainly because I couldn't afford to hire anybody, like literally could like credit nothing. But there have been other seasons where I absolutely could have hired a coach, but I didn't desire one. And this is why I said earlier, like you're going to have different seasons in your business. You're going to have seasons where you want to be a sponge and you want to learn and watch and calibrate and all of that. And then you're going to have other seasons where you just want to live and you want to implement what you've learned. I think that's important too. There are people who will hire people back to back to back. And I think, whatever floats your boat and whatever works for you, that's perfect. But for me, a lot of times when you hire a coach, you're not going to get like an instant turnaround, right? Especially with business, like a lot of the things that you're going to learn from a mentor and a lot of these strategies, they're not going to be overnight successes because it's business. It takes some time to build and to build momentum. So to me, I might hire somebody, I might learn a method or a strategy that I enjoy, and then I need to put it to work. So I personally am not of the belief that you have to hire someone to be successful constantly in your business or at any point at all. Do I know people that have never hired coaches? I don't know. I'm so interested. If you've been in business for 2 years consistently, 2 years in your business, and you've never hired a coach, let me know, DM me, because I'm super interested. Because I can't think of one person personally that I know that hasn't hired one. But I know that they're out there. I know many people are out there. And the coaching industry, it's more of a thing now. Like, it's booming now. It used to not be this way. Like maybe 5, but like 10 years ago, I'm sure they did have mentors and, super high level masterminds and things like this, but certainly not as accessible and plentiful as and available as they are now. So I'd be super curious. All right. I'm trying to see. Okay. So let's talk about the amount of money that I have spent over the years on coaches and mentors. And I just added these up. And I don't know if these aren't like perfectly accurate. I'm sure I'm missing something, but this is what I've been able to remember. And I started my business in 2018. So 4 years that I have been investing. Okay. So as of today, I have invested $105,884. Wait, $105,884, give or take. That's the number that I came up with. So over $100,000. And over the past 4 years in my business, I did the math. I've earned right under $1 million. So not bad. Not a bad return on investment. Am I right? Okay. Now, so that's been over the past 4 years. What's so funny, like I said, this year I signed on for a year-long mastermind with my mentor. And by the end of the year, and this is if I only invest in this mastermind, which, knowing me, I'm sure I'll come across another coach that I'm like, I need to work with you. But this year I will invest over $180,000 just in coaching. So that's what's up. That's what we do. And on that number, actually, it didn't surprise me at all. I actually would have maybe guessed a little more over the past 4 years. So I was a little pleasantly surprised. And again, like, these are investments. These are tax write-offs. I've gotten my return on investment tenfold almost. Like, that's pretty freaking good. And before this is all said and done, who knows? There's no telling what the return on investment is going to be, God willing. So not too shabby in my humble, honest opinion. So if you are considering hiring a coach or a mentor and you're on the fence, or maybe you're considering somebody, but their rates freak you out a little bit, whatever the case may be, I outlined 4 reasons, 4 arguments why I personally would hire a mentor myself. Okay, so these are arguments for hiring a mentor. I'm sure there are reasons to not hire one. And I would say, like, the number one reason to not hire a mentor is it's not the right time. And if it's not the right time, you just know there's just too much on your plate. You don't have a lot of time to implement. you've already invested X amount, so all of it would be put, put you like in crazy debt, which some people even then, that's cool with them. Like it's worth it to them. And it all comes down to what you believe you're going to get out of it and your belief in yourself, which is so important to make back your investment. It's not on your mentor to make back that money. That's on you, baby. So, you know if it's the right time or not. Okay, so here are my 4 arguments on why you would want to consider hiring a mentor when it's the right time. Number 1, which I kind of already talked about, time over money. Okay, so it just makes sense to me that if I want to learn how to grow a 7-figure business and I can sign up for a program that's being taught from somebody who's making 6 figures a month, and they're going to teach me their strategy on how they make 6 figures a month, that's probably something that I would be interested in, right? So if I can learn what it takes to get to blank level in X amount of months, and then I consider, okay, how long do I think that might take me to figure it out? How long, would it take trialing and erroring? How much stress might I put on myself? How much pressure might I put on myself? To me, it brings me a lot of peace sitting down at work every day, knowing that the things that I'm doing are getting me somewhere. There have been periods in my business where I didn't know that. I could not say with certainty and with confidence that the actions I was taking in my business were moving the needle, or at least moving me in the direction that I actually wanted to go. And you probably know what that feels like, where it's like, I'm doing all of this work. Like it's not for lack of trying, but is this adding up to what I want? So I work best when I have that peace of mind where I can, I can drop the stress. I can drop the what ifs. I can drop the overthinking. I'm like, okay, I have a strategy. I know what to do. Now I need to show up and do it consistently until I get somewhere. That brings me a lot of peace. So saving that time, like we can't make our time back, but look how much money I've made. Okay. So some of you, if somebody said, hey, hire this mentor and it's going to grow your business. And you said, okay, great. How much is the mentor? And they said $105,000. You would probably vomit, right? Or even, that's probably a bad example, $10,000. This mentor is $10,000. Even then, you might be like, holy crap, I could get a boob job for that. I could pay off a chunk of my student loan debt. I could go on a Disney vacation. I could, like your brain starts doing this comparison of, okay, I could use that 10 grand for all of these things, or at least have it safely and securely in my bank versus handing it to somebody else. But then what if that person, or what if on the other side of that, you then turn that $10,000 into $100,000? That's a lot of boob jobs. It's a lot of Disney trips if that's your vibe, So like, and that was my example. I turned $106,000 almost into $1 million. I almost 10x'd that. And I'm not done. Like that's just in the past, let's see, 18, 19, 20, 21. That's in 3 years, actually. So I'm not even counting this year. Haven't even counted this year. So in 3 years, that's what I've done. That's pretty freaking good. That's a good return on investment. So this brings me to my second argument, but it actually doesn't. This is part of the first. What I was going to say was, it's called an investment for a reason. And I have a lot of conversations with women who reach out to me And, you know, good intentions. I genuinely, like, I believe them. They want to grow and they want to work with me. And they, you know, they're super interested in something. And then they hear a rate for my program or working one-on-one or my mastermind. And they're just like, it's just too expensive. It's just, the cost is too high. And it's like, okay, that could be true. You know, everybody's different, but also it's not a cost, it's an investment. And if you're not thinking of the person you're hiring or the course you're about to buy as an investment, you're thinking of it in the wrong way. It is, or at least should be, an investment in your business where you are going to get a return on that at some point. Okay, so if you aren't confident that you're going to get a return, and when I say that you, the business owner, are going to turn that investment into a return, then you should not invest in it. That's with anything. That's not just, you know, business coaches. That's just like anything else. So it's called an investment for a reason. Now, I also get a lot of people who are like, oh, well, we have all this debt and I want to pay off the car first and then I'm going to invest in my business, or I want to pay off, blah, 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 which fine. Again, everybody is on their own journey. Everybody has their own values, and that's beautiful. And this is something, just full disclosure, me and Chris is my husband. Me and Chris have gone round and round on, because we think of money in different ways, not in a bad way. Like, I actually think we balance each other out really well. But for him, and we've had this talk before, like when I'm about to hire a coach, and this was more so now, we've gotten to the point now where he trusts me and he's seen what I've done in my business. So we have this conversation way less, thank you God. But in the beginning, when money wasn't coming in at the rate that it is now, and he believed in me, but these investments that I wanted to make in my business, they were at the time a lot more risk, because I wasn't making the results at the level that I had hoped to yet. The return on investment, although he believed in me and I believed in me, I hadn't proved it yet. So we both were a little, I won't say unsure, but nervous. So we've had many conversations where, like, I would have, a certain amount of money left over at the end of the month or at the end of the year. And my mind goes to, cool, let's reinvest it back into the business. Let's hire somebody. Let's hire the coach. And he's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You have student loans. We have a mortgage. We have some debt. And my argument is, sure, but which one is going to get us the fastest return? Paying off my student loans or investing back into my business? And he can't argue that. Well, he can't argue that now. At the time, he was like, I get what you're saying, and I'm like, well, you're going to have to trust me. And we've had many, many conversations about this. And it's true, right? Like, I can pay off if I wanted to. This is insane to say. If I wanted to, I could pay off all of my student loans right now with one click. That's like, I don't even think I've been able to say that before, but I'm not gonna. One day I will. But right now, like, I know what I'm investing in, and like, we're good. And I'm making it back a lot faster than that student loan being off of our books. Like, who freaking cares? But some people do, and that's fine. You get to do what you want to do. Everybody's different, right? So anyway, time over money, that's just how I feel. So that's argument number one. Number two, calibration to energy. What does that mean? So, you know, the saying that you're the average of the 5 people that you hang around, or 3, or, whatever this saying is, that is calibration energy. Because who you put yourself around, and it's not just people, it could be environments, it could be, really anything. But in terms of people, who you put yourself around consistently, you're going to adopt, pick up off of each other. Like, you're gonna pick up some of their stuff. If you, and we've all experienced this at different times. We've all had friends that maybe weren't the best for us, that were making some questionable decisions, and then we ended up making some questionable decisions. We've also had friends who were great to be around, who were super motivated and super driven and super in tune with their values, and acted accordingly. And that rubs off on you too. So calibration to energy is you kind of feed off of somebody, and vice versa. They feed off of you too. So why I have bought the seats at the tables that I've wanted to sit at is because that was the energy I wanted to calibrate to. Every single mentor that I've hired were in positions that I was like, yes, how they show up, how they operate, their operations in general, their business, their personal life, their energy. Yes, I want that. I want some of that. I want to align myself to that. And in my experience, the closer in proximity you can get to that person, the faster you can calibrate to that energy. So at the end of the year, last year. So, okay, here's how I decided to join the mastermind that I just joined, the big investment. I found Melanie last summer, and I took one of her programs. She blew my mind. She's absolutely amazing. And I immediately signed up for one of her, she has like a membership where you get all of her trainings. I was like, well, I'm just going to this training changed my life so much. I'm going to do like all of her trainings. So I got in her membership, and then I was like, okay. And it's like within proximity, but not very close, and I just kept getting this feeling like I just want to be closer. I want to know more. And, and maybe you've experienced this with other people. So I signed up for another program. Long story short, I had inquired about her mastermind before. I had inquired about her mastermind last year, maybe in the fall. And when I heard the monthly investment, I probably immediately peed my pants. And I was like, okay, maybe in a year or two. Perfect. Love that for her. Like, wow. And even that was the calibration. It was like, whoa, okay. That's a level we can get to. That's a vibe. So that's what happened. Anyway, I finished last year very, very strong. And a big reason for it is because of Melanie and her support. And again, it's not so, she's incredible, but she's like the coach for me. Everybody has that person that they're just super aligned to. Okay. She was that for me. The values, the way she sells, the way she organizes her business, her results, her mindset. It was like, yes. And then some. Okay. And by just being in her world for the amount of time that I did, and I realized I'm giving her a lot of credit, but I obviously did the work. But a big part of it was the shift in mindset, the shift in energy, all of these things. And that's what I learned from her, just full transparency. So I get to the end of the year, we closed it out, just did freaking amazing. And, I'm so proud. And I had an amount of revenue that needed to be spent by the end of the year. Otherwise, it would go to taxes. Okay. So the longer you're in business, you become more savvy with you just remembering like, oh, these are write-offs. I should probably invest this back into my business. Otherwise, it's going to the IRS. Like, let's be smart. So at the end of the year, I knew like I had this amount of taxes that I was going to owe next year unless I invest it somehow in my business. And I thought about hiring other coaches. And there were a couple of coaches there. I mean, there's so many coaches that I admire and respect to the fullest degree. But I had my heart set. I wanted to be at the table that I wanted to be at. And I had to make that decision. Like, do I pull my chair up here or somewhere else? And I decided to pull up my chair to Melanie's Mastermind. That's what I decided to do. And it was a big bet on myself, a big bet on my business, but one that I'm really proud of and that I'm happy that I've made. And I will say this. So let's talk about that, because you might have somebody that like is that person for you, but you're a little bit newer in your business, or just that amount of revenue or investment that it would take to get in their world, to get at their table. It's not in the cards. And that's how it was for me for a long time, for many different mentors that I wanted to work with. That's going to happen. So it's okay if you can't do it right now, but you can say, hey, and in the future, I'm going to work with this person. And setting that intention is so powerful. But also something else to consider is, who is your mentor's mentor? Right? So like, before I had the faith in myself to sign up for her mastermind, I got into her world, and I then got to know all of the women that she mentors, not just in the mastermind, but one-to-one. And I've worked with one or two, maybe even three. I don't know, one to three of women who either are in her mastermind or work with her one-to-one. And they're incredible. And it's like, that's amazing. Again, if you align with their values, if you align with the business that they have, and all the things we've already talked about, that's like, I don't want to say the next best thing, because that sounds like a bump down from the other mentor. So I'm not going to say that, but hopefully you get what I'm saying. Like, if they're being mentored by somebody that you aspire to work with, that's going to trickle down into them. Right? Like they're clearly hitting a certain level of success. So I was very close to hiring one incredible woman in particular that works privately with Melanie. But I just, in my soul, I was like, I know what I want to do. So I'm gonna do that. And I did it. So calibration to energy is a real thing. And that is why I've invested in the people that I have, and why I'm in the mastermind that I am now, because that is the energy that I want to calibrate to. Like that's the vibe I'm trying to be at, the frequency, like however you want to think about it. It's the same in any other aspect of life. So it's definitely something to consider. The third argument for hiring somebody, a mentor or a coach, is just like we just said, like, who's your mentor's mentor? By you investing in yourself, in your personal development, and this doesn't have to be like a one-to-one coach or mastermind. This could be a very specific course, a very specific program or certification. But my dog just walked in the room. So if you're watching the YouTube video of this and you saw the door slowly open behind me, didn't see anything, it's my dog. Whatever you invest in, your clients, the people that hire you, are going to benefit from that as well, right? The better you get as a business owner, and the more sure and the more confident and the higher you rise in your own energy, that like your clients will be able to calibrate to that, which is so freaking cool to think about. Like often we think about ourselves and the value that it's going to be for our business, but there's like a massive ripple effect of you investing in your business and your mindset and, whatever the case may be for then the people that come into your world. So definitely something to consider and keep in mind. And then finally, the last argument that I would present to you is, for me, investing in a coach or a mentor, that high level seat at a table, there's some pressure there, right? Anytime I've hired somebody, there's always I don't think I've ever hired anybody where when I went to put the payment through, I was like, sure, do it twice. There's never that moment where, it's always like, I might vomit. I might hold on, let me take a deep breath. Give me a paper bag real quick. Always, every single time. So know that, especially this last one, it was like, wow, we're doing this. Okay. You really think highly of yourself, but pressure affects everybody differently. For me, a certain amount of pressure is good. For me, what I've learned about myself is when I have reasons in my business to show up and work and sell things, I sell more. And I've seen this, and I don't love that about myself, but it's just true, right? Before I hired Sarah, when it was just me and when I didn't have a coach and when I was just kind of doing my own thing, I would get a certain amount of money in the bank and I'd be comfortable. You'll be like, I don't really feel like launching anything. Nah, we'll go another week. I'm going to think this through for another week. I'm going to push that back another month, because you get comfortable, you get a little complacent. And while that's okay and that's a beautiful thing, sometimes that can also lead to some habits that as a business owner aren't necessarily serving you. And again, it all comes down to what you value. So that for me, wasn't really serving me. But now I have an employee who depends on me to get my butt up and work. And I have a really big investment at the end of every month that's going to be pulled out of my bank account. So ready or not, it's time to go. And I did all of this on purpose. And, we'll talk about that for a different podcast for why I'm adding this much pressure on myself, but it's working. It's working really well. I'm in the process of having what's looking like my biggest month in business yet. That's awesome. So anyway, moral of the story, everybody's different. Everybody is at different points and different seasons in your business and as a business owner. So if you are not in the place to throw down a chunk of your hard-earned money to give to somebody else to learn something, if you don't feel good about that right now, there's a reason why. Trust that. You're good. But if you are in a place in your business where it could be better and you're not sure how to get to that next level, right? You don't feel confident on how to get yourself to the next level, and you have some room to move things around to where you can make an investment in your business, these would be my reasons to consider that. And I can share these because I have lived it. And this is just my personal experience, and everybody has their own. So anyway, I hope this served you. If you have any questions about this or want me to go deeper into something, please let me know. You can reach out anytime on Instagram at Allie I. Reeves and send me podcast ideas or additional questions or whatever you want, or just say, hey. And yeah, if you enjoyed this, I would love a review on iTunes, or you can take a screenshot and share it to your stories, whatever. But the fact that you're still listening to this now means the world. So I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day, and I will see you here next week. Bye.